Okay. So I think we can go ahead now. Hmm, Crazy. Again, we're going to have two screens. This is the execution screen. I'll first share the main screen, the other monitor that you look at. So, so yeah, basically, we have outlined all the levels on the live stream. If you were not aware, uh, you can, visit that live stream again and see all the levels. But now we are monitoring how price will react to the levels. I will now go back to the execution screen and think I'll say out loud whatever I'm monitoring and whatever I'm thinking. Let's go to the 1 minute. Uh, I will answer questions after the stream. Those are the weekly levels. I outlined it on the live stream on YouTube. Uh, you can see here. These are the weekly levels, the volume balance concept. I will answer questions after the stream. For now, let's move ahead. Dollar is still not going low, not going high, still in a, the range bound environment, not moving like ES and NASDAQ. We have an SMT, NASDAQ is failing to make a lower low, and ES has. Where is SMT? If you direct yourself to the 15-minute charts of ES and NASDAQ side by side, NASDAQ is right now around the current new week opening gaps. It found support with the consequent encroachment of the current new week opening gap. It's better if you have your charts with you, because if I toggle through, I'll get disoriented and you will get disoriented. So ES on the 15-minute, NASDAQ on the 15-minute, that's what I'm watching side by side. The weaker one is obviously ES. Just it went below even the low of the new week opening gap, while the dollar is, being range bound. I mean, it can still go for the sell side that we've outlined, the dollar index. Now that ES has taken out sell side, while Nasdaq has not, it made an S&P right now. Now, if ES and Nasdaq both move higher, what does that mean for dollar? Dollar moves lower. Where does it move? For sell side that we outlined. I hope you can follow what I'm talking about. If you have your charts, I think you can follow. I'll say whatever time frames I'm watching, and you can just toggle through on that time frame. Basically, I have a 1 minute chart that you are seeing on the screen, on your screen. And this is the execution chart. This is a full screen chart. Yes, easy to follow. Thank you for confirming. But this is how it will be, because if I toggle back and forth on the main screen, it will be disorienting. When I'm talking about the 1 minute, I'll annotate it here. If I see something on the higher time frame charts, I'll annotate it there, and it will be transposed to this 1 minute. And I'll write the level. This is a 15-minute fair value gap, whatever. So it will be easy for you to watch. I think now is the time for dollar to go to the sell side. That means rallying in equities. SMT on 1 minute. Yes. Yes, correct. But the higher time frame S&P, that's what I was talking about. If you look on the 15-minute, this. This is, yes, a lower time frame SMT, correct. We are also we are also keeping in our minds about a higher time frame. New week opening gap high. Dollar going for sell side. I'll just take this red weekly daily fair value gap on Nasdaq out. It's too much. Weekly daily fair value CD it's outlining. We will take it up. Is the stream better on YouTube or here? I mean, in terms of the technicalities, lagging and all that here, 100%. Okay. Nasdaq is definitely the stronger one, but I don't see any conditions right now. If you anything, basically, I see nothing. So up till here, what we are watching, let me just recap it. Nasdaq is moving, is the relative strength leader. ES is failing to make higher highs. Nasdaq is failing to make lower lows. Nasdaq is the relative strength leader. Nasdaq found some support at the current new week opening gaps. Consequent encroachment. ES went even below the current new week opening gaps low. What we're watching in the dollar, if it wants to run for sell side, in my opinion, it does. So we're observing price. You asked me what I want to see. I want to see ES find support with this new week opening gap. I want to see Nasdaq. It already made an SMT. It found support with the consequent encroachment of the current new week opening gap. So if dollar goes for the sell side, it will open up ES and NQ to make its rally. That is what I want to see, but not pushing what I want to see. If it doesn't give me, it's okay. Basically, what that means is bias. I have a bias. I want to see this. The tape reading. So far, it's very slow. If you look at Nasdaq on the 5 minute, look how choppy it is. So whenever I see chop, like we see on Nasdaq's 5 minute and even ES, but Nasdaq is more ugly on the 5 minute. Whenever I see chop, I don't want to, position myself thinking that it's going to now break out with this chop, even though we can anticipate when it's going to break out, when it's going to do the thing based on, intermarket analysis, the dollars analysis, when dollars are supposed to move, ES and Nasdaq will move as well. But it's I've been hurt many times with this job, trying to anticipate when it's going to move. It gives, it happened with you. I know most of you, it has happened with you as well. You see a chop, it's not going to move. It's going to, consolidate, stay around, seek and destroy, take out liquidity, then take other side's liquidity, then take other side's liquidity again. And you see a market structure shift, you see a fair value gap, you see your setup forming. Yes, your setup will form. Yes, like you see on the NAS, where is it? You see a market structure shift, fair value gap. Okay, it will move, but it's not high probability. Suppose you saw a market structure shift, whatever you saw, you went short, and now it's just chopping around here. Your emotions will be tested. Don't just stay on the 1 minute chart. I'm showing you the 1 minute chart on ES and NASDAQ on the execution window, but I'm not just staying there. I look at it when it's supposed to move, when I'm anticipating on the higher time frame charts. When I'm anticipating a move on the higher time frame charts, that's when I look at the lower time frame charts. NASDAQ is still chopping. Lower low in ES, not a low low in NASDAQ. Still chopping down. Dollar, dollar, dollar. It's not giving me what I want to see. Still chopping. See, if you see on the dollar index 5 minute chart, you can see a setup forming, a 2022 model forming. Now it's invalidating that model. That's why you have to be careful. The 2022 model, it's the best model in my opinion for entries, correct. It will provide you with great RRs, it will provide you with good entries, it will provide you an entry majority of the times. But it's not just the model that you should be focusing on. The model will form on the 5 minutes to 1 minute charts. The framework that will form on the higher time frame, 15 minute, 1 hour, 1 day, those time frames, those are the important ones. Those levels are the important ones. In the span of a whole day, 1 day, on the 1 minute chart, you will see hundreds of fair value gaps. Not all of them will work. Majority of them will not work. Literally, you see hundreds of fair value gaps on the 1 minute chart. Lower low in ES, higher low in NASDAQ. Still, it's inside of a range, it's inside of a consolidation. So you're not trying to, catch the expansion move because it will hurt you more times than it will be rewarding. I like that. Just still finding support with the new week opening gap low. We have a breaker here as well as this volume imbalance low. So we'll see how price reacts. Okay. This is just me watching price, how it's reacting to the levels I'm watching. It's not a trade idea. I don't think sell side is next for the dollar now. It's failing. It's failing to go lower. And here I'm just doing some other stuff because this price is not willing to do any stuff. PS is not willing to go higher, it's just chopping around. Nasdaq, I think it will take out the high, this high, and go into this level gap. These are the levels to watch for Nasdaq. We want this level gap to support price. We don't want the mean threshold of this order block to be violated with the body of a candle. Just roughly eyeballing it, not correct. Now, why am I not entering in this? This is a good setup, but why is it not a good setup? Because dollar is rallying as well right now. If it if if I was confident about dollar going for sell side, I would have entered in Nasdaq because it's the relative strength leader. But you can look at the dollar on the 15-minute and the 5-minute charts. It's not willing to go lower. Look at it on the 15-minute, how it's finding support with the levels we outlined on the daily and weekly. Are you being able to follow what I'm talking about? Please, let me just share the chart. Here's the page. Okay, thank you. Okay, I can just switch. Yeah. You should be able to see the dollar screen now on the 15-minute chart. See how it made a wick here. I wanted to see this low break. I talked about it. I want to see this low break. Then I'm confident about the sell side liquidity. But did it break that low? It came very close to it and it respected it, perfectly to the tick. It respected it. What did it respect? Not the low. I wanted to see it break. If this low, I wanted to see this low break, but it didn't break it. It respected this daily fair value gap, I think it is. Yeah, daily inversion fair value gap. It respected it. If it would have broken that low, I would have used this inversion fair value gap to resist price, plus the breaker here, plus other PD areas that would have formed for price to move below sell side. And since we can't trade the dollar, we would have used the relative strength leader. Strength leader. If dollar would have been bearish, we would have used ES on Nasdaq for strength. And clearly, Nasdaq is the better leader in strength. But since this deep retracement, I don't like this deep retracement. And deep retracement, even before it broke this low, that was troublesome. And I called out, I don't like what dollar is doing right now for sell side. I don't like it. So, when we have such conditions, that makes, we'll go back to the execution window. When we have such conditions, it makes this condition low probability. See, if the conditions were right, this would have held price and it would have moved above into the fair value gap. But see how it retraced. Now it can still move into this fair value gap, but this makes it a high resistance liquidity run. This deep retracement, this violation of this PD array, the discount array, that is the mean threshold of the order block, this violation, it can still, chop around, chop around, chop around, and then move higher. It can still do that. But do we want to be a part of it? No, I don't want to be a part of it. You may, but personally, I don't like. I prefer to stay out of these things. It can still move higher. Nasdaq can, because this is a strength leader. Dollar will put pressure on it, but whenever dollar's not doing anything, or whenever dollar is not dominant on it, it will find its time and it will move higher. Now, since dollar is consolidating right now is the time for Nasdaq to move higher. It took out buy side, come here. Let me just see. I prefer to do the 1 minute things with annotations. Take out the consequent encroachment of the wick. We have a bullish breaker here now. So we don't want price to move below this. Also, now we will use this inversion fair value gap as well. But the conditions are low probability. So we're not doing anything here. We're just monitoring price. Now I would prefer if it respects the inversion fair value gap and move higher. I would prefer that. I'm not comfortable doing anything in this environment. Because see how much higher resistance it is. On any other day, it wouldn't have, made this down close candle right here. It would have, took out the consequent encroachment of the wick and move higher on this candle. But the environment, dollar's environment, dollar is rallying as Nasdaq is rallying. So it's putting pressure on Nasdaq. That's why we have this high resistance liquidity. Backed and tagged. I don't know the meaning of backed and tagged. I think it's when you are inside of a trade and it's your target. But it feels nice to see it. I think the right word now, since we're not in a trade, is delivered. Delivered. Now, if you ask me, I would have taken a trade in Nasdaq if dollar showed weakness. Since it didn't, although Nasdaq delivered, although it did, we can see this deep retracement. This is why I didn't, because I was already expecting a run. Okay, it will run for buy side, it will run for this city here. We were expecting it, we called it, but this kind of deep retracement. If I was in a trade, I would have taken maximum partials with this deep retracement because I would have not liked the main threshold of this bullish order block to be violated. So if we are expecting deeper retracements, if we are expecting high resistance liquidity runs, just stay out. Why torture yourself? So basically, right now, what happened? Up till now, what happened? ES consolidated, dollar consolidated on the on the 1 minute. If you see, right now, dollar is consolidating, and Nasdaq, it got its time, it delivered for buy side. So for now, this doesn't mean we're going to have a reversal. This doesn't mean we're going to have a continuation. We're watching what it does now. 11 a.m. now. ES is ugly on the 1 minute. Say you saw this after 10 a.m. after the news release, market dipped lower right here. It found support with the consequent encroachment of the new week opening gap. Correct. And say you were already anticipating higher prices. Okay, we saw this market dip, market structure shift here. Correct. Absolutely. Good one. Actually, a good 2022 model here. You saw this Beverly gap, you saw this Beverly gap. Okay, even if you entered here, your stop would have accommodated this. Your stop would have been around here, in my opinion. Considering the 2022 model. Maybe if you were very conservative, your stop would have been here. It's okay. Price came down into this fair value gap. It dipped down into the lower one. Okay, up till here it's valid, but since it moved higher, if you were if you were you know careful enough, if you were already anticipating it to not move much higher, you would have taken a partial here. I would have taken a partial if I entered here. I would have taken a partial, maybe a small one, not a big one, but I would have taken a partial here. But what I'm trying to, you know, say is, even though the model is valid, even though it's a good one, you have to understand the condition of the whole market environment that you are in. We have this February gap. Yes, we have a good 2022 model right here, even though it moved here. Be honest, if it moved higher and it went back lower, your stop would have been here. You would have trailed your stop loss. I would have trailed my stop loss. Even I would have trailed my stop loss even above more than that. If I was in the trade, I would have moved my stop loss up till here, and it would have taken me out. It would have stopped me out. I would have not have been a part of this move, and I'm happy to not be a part of this move. Understand the market conditions that you are in, and all the models will work. Everything will work. Today is not a condition that you want to be in. Today is not an environment that you want to be a part of. I'm sorry about my grammar, but you get the point. If you look on the hourly chart, all Nasdaq has done is go up into an inefficiency. This is on the 1 minute inefficiency, but the hourly inefficiency, that's what I'm talking about. All Nasdaq has done is go up to the inefficiency while ES failed to move higher. Nasdaq made a higher high. Yes, this is an SMT. Of course, I don't have to draw it. You can see clearly. So what this signifies to me is ES is just chopping around being ugly. Nasdaq went into an inefficiency on the 15-minute hourly. Okay, this inefficiency, this is what I'm talking about. The small little gap here. On the hourly, it's been better. This. Okay. So what this signifies to me, what this, how I'm internalizing it, I'm saying it out loud. ES, nothing. I have no comments of it over it because this is chopping around. So the two assets that now are in my analysis basket is Nasdaq and dollar. Dollar, we are, I wanted it to take out sell side. It didn't. I said it should take out sell side by 9:30. It didn't. I said now maybe it's displacing lower. It should respect its premium arrays and go for the sell side. It didn't. I said if it breaks the low that I outlined, I'll just share the this low. I wanted this low to break. It didn't. It didn't break that low. When it was here, I said that okay, it's displacing lower. Now it should move for the sell side. It didn't. So now since dollar is failing to go for sell side, since dollar is failing to decline, ES is chopping, no comments on ES. Dollar is failing to decline. What that says is dollar is wanting to go higher. So if dollar goes higher, Nasdaq, we'll go back to Nasdaq now. Nasdaq filled this inefficiency right here. So if dollar goes higher, Nasdaq goes lower. That's what I'm saying. And more importantly, more than Nasdaq, I think ES will go lower because it's failing to move higher. It's failing to make higher highs with Nasdaq. So now maybe an expansion time for ES. Expansion time for ES to move lower. How about that? Can you see the expansion? This is what we call expansion. Wow. Yeah. Even though I've seen this multiple times, it still feels wow to me as well. Even Nasdaq, that's good. But do you think you can be a part of this move? Do you think like you can go short here? And personally, I wouldn't feel comfortable being a part of this move. I mean, like yeah, it's a good move, right? But it doesn't provide an entry. It's an expansion move. It's consolidating an expansion. And yes, we can anticipate the expansion. You saw me, I did it live. But entering before an expansion, I'm not advanced enough to do that. ICT is it's his concepts. He can do those things, but I'm still learning. I'm not comfortable enough to be a part of expansion. Can you appreciate the concepts? I mean, you can literally time it. I said it's going to expand. Now is the time for ES to expand lower, and it did the very minute and the next minute. Now, once again, an SMT, and we are expecting it because we are not expecting Nasdaq to be weak. We're expecting ES to be weak. Can you go over how you knew about their expansion phase again, please? Okay, I'll go over it again. Just a second. I'll try to answer the question. I'll answer the question when I am uh, after the stream. When I'm closing the stream, I'll answer all the questions then. Right now, I should focus. And also, I have to go to the bathroom right now. Nasdaq finding some support with the new week opening gaps high, but I think ES is going to go lower to the 1 hour fair value gap. That's where ES is going to expand, in my opinion. If you go to the hourly chart, Yeah, this is the discount family gap. Nasdaq, I think ES will drag it lower, maybe to the below the sell side liquidity pool, or maybe to the low of the new week opening gap. Low of the new week opening gap, yes. ES is the weaker one. Nasdaq will be dragged along with ES. You can see the expansion. Chop, 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 being ugly, and boom. Even though, yeah, it's an expansion, but even though I timed it, but it's a very risky thing to do. You can, tape read it, you can anticipate it, but entering before the expansion with a tight stop loss, I think only ICT has that experience. I'm still learning to trust it. I know it looks beautiful, like, okay, I said it's going to move lower now. This is the time, this is the minute, and it did. But it's a risky thing to do. It's a good thing to tape read that. It's a good thing to anticipate it. Okay, that fine. That's fine. But do not be, you know, do not chase it. That's what I'm trying to say. Do not chase it because you'll be hurt. I've been hurt more times. I've been hurt many times with this. And this is what you should, you know, you should be like when reading price, not, jumping and okay. Okay, when price does what we are anticipating it to do, it feels nice. I'll be honest, it feels good to me. But don't be too emotional over it. Are you following what I'm saying? Because I'm hesitating with my grammar. I think you'll get the point, but just excuse me for the grammar. Shit. ES 1 hour chart, immediate rebalance. That's what happened. Can you see it? If you can see it, just say yes in the chat. ES 1 hour chart, immediate rebalance. If you can't see it, I'll show it. But if you can see it, just say yes. I'll just show it. This one of the reasons of anticipation of the expansion move. One of the reasons. This right here. I think it's 11:30, and I mean it's 11:30 now. So I'll just add a, an alert here. I think we'll close the stream now. Mm, I mean, before closing the stream, yes, I'm going to answer questions, but I think this is it for the stream. I'll add an alert here for yes. Okay, so now you can ask me your questions. This is the end of the stream for today. So now I'll be answering questions. So the first question that I would like to answer, can you go over how you knew about the expansion again, please? Okay. So before the expansion, I think we were right here, and I anticipated that this is the time for, I think we were here somewhere. Okay, so I anticipated like if this is the time for ES to decline, to expand lower. How I anticipated that? Again, 1 hour chart, immediate rebalance. That's a signature that tells you, okay, if you are right in your direction, immediate rebalance, it will quickly move lower. That's a signature on the 1 hour chart. I was watching that. The second factor, I was anticipating it because of dollar again. Let's talk about dollar later. But the first, also ES and NQ, the if you look here, we have SMT divergence, but more importantly than the SMT divergence, ES was failing to make higher high, yes, but it was chopping around. It was, consolidating right here. It was consolidating, chopping, chopping, chopping. Well, in that chop, NASDAQ fulfilled its premium objective. NASDAQ did that. Okay. So if NASDAQ's premium objective is complete, that means ES can now do what it wants to do. It does not want to go higher. We can clearly see it with the SMT divergence. But now ES is free. ES is free to move lower. So if it's consolidating, if it doesn't have any arrays, this is the time for expansion. That's how I anticipated it. Any other question? You too have a good evening. So I'll close the stream now. Thank you for watching.